Hi, everybody, and welcome back to Don't Praise the Machine, the survivor's guide to the cultural apocalypse. And this week we are asking the question, why are so many celebrities on GoFundMe? We've seen in recent weeks the tragic deaths of television icons James Van Der Beek and Eric Dane, gone far too soon. But in the wake of that sadness, we're seeing GoFundMes raising millions for families living in multi-million-dollar homes. It's a strange new world where we got billionaires rattling the digital tin cup for their makeup artist surgery, while regular people are literally performing their trauma online just to pay for a kidney transplant. Is this the new community safety net, or have our parasocial relationships turned into a digital guilt tax? We're diving into the ethics of the ask, the failure of America's healthcare structures, and whether your $10 donation is helping a hero in need or just funding a lavish lifestyle that they have come to expect. To answer that question, I'm going to need the help from a man who's currently seeking donations for an emotionally necessary deep plane facelift. That's John Maloney. John Maloney, when did the A-lister become the e-beggar? And are we all just one financial emergency bill away from having to launch a PR campaign for our own survival?
That's beautiful. Wow. As usual, I feel like we've basically done all we need to do just with that intro. So many great questions there. Yeah, it's fascinating, isn't it? I find it amusing, partly because it kind of stems from a long-standing discomfort that you and I have had with this phenomenon more generally, and now it's kind of taken on a new form. What I mean is, even from the early days of the interwebs, I think there was a point, probably over a decade ago now, where people started rattling the old tin cup in circumstances where you thought, I'm not sure about this, what am I? It was an ask without any kind of reciprocity, which seemed to be indulging not kind of emergencies or strict necessities, but, people would say, say it was 2010. So people would say, I need help for my stovepipe jeans, or I need help for my, what was that sport involving skating and roller derby. I need help with my roller derby team. And you'd think, well, so do I. But, we've all got to figure that out for ourselves in life.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll come to one of your Brunswick Facebook groups. Probably there's probably a few asks on there.
Oh, there definitely is. Yeah, and then now, as you say, we've got this phenomenon where people who are publicly known to be very well heeled
or assumed to be very well heeled.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe Dawson didn't get the kind of royalties that I would have expected him to get because he had a crap agent or something.
Maybe the creek was repossessed.
Exactly.
No longer had access to the creek,
which was damned. And I mean, we could do an episode about another mystery, which is why does I found out recently when he passed away that Van Der Beek means from the creek. And that seems like a strange example of nominative determinism, but that is neither here nor there. Yeah, I mean, what's going on there? You've got a different phenomenon, don't you, where people are, I suppose, maybe donating as a form of demonstrating their commitment to a celebrity, their love of a celebrity, and they're not donating to, say, people in sub-Saharan Africa who might need mosquito nets. Which is an interesting dilemma.
Yeah, the idea for this week's episode, John, came from a Rolling Stone article that was published this week from Laura O'Neill, and then my brother Ned I reached out to and said, hey, have you got any ideas? Because you and me just, so you know, team, Don't Praise Us, boy, have we got 3 episodes in the hopper that are really going to get you for the next 3 weeks, but they all require me to be in a different, some require me in a different location, some require a guest.
Yes.
And so
exciting.
And so this one, I thought this can be a classic DPTM. So my brother sent me this article and said, this sounds very DPTM. And the article is titled, Why are celebrities on GoFundMe? And why are we giving them so much cash? Is the Rolling Stone article from Laura O'Neill. And as you can imagine, the article follows the recent deaths, as I mentioned in the intro, of James Van Der Beek from Dawson's Creek and Eric Dane from Grey's Anatomy. So for anyone who doesn't know what is GoFundMe, it's an online platform where somebody just creates a page explaining their situation. Here's my situation.
Yeah.
And you set a fundraising goal and they share it with their network more often than not on social media, and people can donate. And we'll come back to the types of asks that people have on GoFundMe in a minute. So James Van Der Beek, a lot of people have heard, died in the last couple of weeks. Very sad news. He played Dawson in the 90s TV behemoth Dawson's Creek. He died of colorectal cancer earlier in this month after quite a public battle. His wife, Kimberly, then posted the news about his death on her social media, and she provided a GoFundMe link. Now, the GoFundMe is still up. I can open it as we speak.
Oh, yeah.
I can read it to you here. So the original ask, it looks like, was 1.5 million. There have been 50.9 thousand so almost 51,000 individual donations. And again, the original ask, $1.5 million, currently has raised. Well, I think I should say, I think it raised 2 million within 48 hours.
Wow.
So it was 500K over the original ask within 48 hours, within 2 days. Currently sits at $2.75 million raised. So pretty, go on.
And why don't they say, not to be in poor taste here, but we've made $1.5 million. We're closing the GoFundMe. Thanks, everyone.
That's a good question.
What is there? What if it gets to 20 million?
Just better care for her.
We've arranged for a 30-foot solid gold statue of James Van Der Beek.
They're going to campaign for that "I Don't Want to Wait" theme to be the American national anthem. Exactly. Ladies and gentlemen, would you please rise for the national anthem? I don't want to wait for our lives to be over. What a moment! They campaigned and they got it. I can read you here. So this is from this is on the GoFundMe page. James Van Der Beek was a beloved husband, father, and friend who touched the lives of everyone around him. After a long and courageous battle with cancer, James passed away on the 11th of February this year, leaving behind his devoted wife, Kimberly, and their 6 wonderful children. Wow. Throughout his illness, the family faced not only emotional challenges, but also significant financial strain as they did everything possible to support James and provide for his care. In the wake of his loss, Kimberly and the children are facing an uncertain future. The costs of James' medical care and the extended fight against cancer have left the family out of funds. I feel like that sort of requires a little bit more definition. Out of funds, okay, it's very broad. Yeah, they are working hard to stay in their home, which was reported also by Rolling Stone. Was apparently
show us the receipts.
It was apparently a $4.8 million 36-acre Austin ranch that the family had been renting. The actor's representatives told People magazine that before he died, Van Der Beek had secured a down payment for the Texas ranch for his family with the help of friends through a trust, though it is unclear what became of this.
Right.
It says then your generosity will help cover essential. Again, that's that's fairly it's up to, it's a very subjective term.
One man's 36-acre ranch.
Essential living expenses, pay bills, and support the children's education. Every donation, no matter what the size, will help Kimberly and her family find hope and security as they rebuild their lives. Thank you for considering a gift to support them.
Right.
So you can already see
couple of questions there.
Kimberly, I'm just going to stop you there.
Yeah. I mean, one of the things that strikes me that is interesting about this, and I mean, there was an article a few days after, and just to be clear, I thought James Van Der Beek seemed like a nice guy. And it's sad that he passed away, and he did fight cancer in a courageous and admirable way. So no shade intended from that perspective. We're just cultural anthropologists here.
Totally.
We're not going after James, but after he died, there was one article that drew my attention, which was that Steven Spielberg donated $25,000 to his GoFundMe. And people were saying, good on you, Steven. So I went on ChatGPT and I said, given Steven Spielberg's net worth, what would it look like? What would an equivalent donation look like from an Australian with a median net worth? And it said $1.50 to $2. So one of the questions here is, okay, he may be having, I've no reason to doubt it's very expensive. No doubt having 6 children is very expensive. It's too bad that the American health care system is as fucked as it is. But he's in a world, socially and culturally, of people who could solve these problems with the stroke of a pen without really having to sacrifice much. And yet the majority of people who are donating to this GoFundMe page are probably not those people. They're probably regular Dawson's Creek fans who are actually making a kind of meaningful sacrifice. They're probably not donating $1.50. They're probably donating $5.
That's right.
Which would be the equivalent of probably enough money for Steven Spielberg to single-handedly solve this issue without noticing it.
He could solve colorectal cancer.
Exactly. He could just take a day off, polishing his ET mask or whatever to solve colorectal cancer.
Yeah, some of the article in Rolling Stone did mention that they'd gone through the comments on the GoFundMe, and of course there were some people who had donated who said, there was one woman who said, "Oh yeah, I myself am struggling with cancer. I don't have any money, but I've got $5 and I want to give that to James because I really loved his relationship with Pacey." And then I was wondering, I wonder how much Joshua Jackson kicked in as well. Maybe he.
It's a good question.
Maybe he sold some of his Mighty Ducks champions memorabilia. Because this is the other thing that James Van Der Beek apparently did at the end of his life, was he started selling Dawson's Creek memorabilia. Which I was just like, what? I mean, I haven't watched Dawson's Creek since it was on. I was just thinking, like, what was in Dawson? I guess maybe the clothes and stuff, but I was just thinking they were the key items. It wasn't like Raiders of the Lost Ark or anything.
No, that's right. Like a signature Dawson's fedora that he wore during the action scenes.
The comb that he did, the classic Curtains haircut hairstyle with
some creek water from the eponymous creek.
Maybe what if he just had a lock of Katie Holmes' hair? That would have gone for big bucks. So yeah, apparently he was selling Dawson's Creek memorabilia, and this does also point to this. This is a uniquely American problem, or should we say it's quite a uniquely American problem in the West, because in a lot of developed Western countries, Australia, Germany, this wouldn't really be as much of a thing. Necessary surgery would be covered by health insurance schemes that are managed by the government and by public funds and compulsory contributions and things like this. But of course, America famously doesn't have that type of healthcare system. Yeah. So when Americans reach out and say, "Hey, I can't afford this," that makes sense to a lot of people because they go, "Well, yeah, nobody can fucking afford this," or even if you were fairly well-to-do actor and you suffered some really serious cancer and you had 6 kids, then that is the kind of thing that you would need help with. But of course, with these kinds of things, with any type of ask, and this is the same with really any kind of ask, but it's become more prevalent with the internet because it's so easy to ask now. Yes. You look at somebody saying, "Hey, I don't earn a lot of money." I'll give you an example. I don't earn a lot of money. I have a minimum wage job, and I'd really like you to support my art, let's say, I'm going to do this really important social art project that's going to, contribute a lot to the community, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But you know that this person has like a trust fund from their parents and the parents pay their rent. Basically, like they'll tell you, oh, I don't have income right now.
Yeah.
But they kind of have access to a large pool of money, and they're just deciding that somehow isn't included in this. They're the same. They're the same as a person who's paycheck to paycheck, hand to mouth.
Yes.
And I feel like with people got this sense, rightly or wrongly, with Van Der Beek and McSteamy, because you're kind of like, okay, sure, he's got medical expenses, but he's a celebrity living in a $5 million mansion. Like, couldn't you maybe save a little on the mansion?
Yeah.
And
could you downsize a bit?
Could you downsize? Is there a family with 6 children who are living a little bit more modestly, and should maybe you not be living like that? Because it's almost like, hey, look, again, I'm not saying this is the case, but this is my first kind of thought. You sort of go, are you just sort of saying we should expect to be able to live a Hollywood lifestyle? Should these 6 children and the wife still be able to live a kind of Hollywood lifestyle?
Yeah,
and because that's what they expect. And these Dawson Creek kids, they can't be expected to move to Detroit where you can get a house for $1.
Because they know better. They've been raised in a certain environment that would make ordinary life intolerable for them. So don't expose them to that, please. It's a funny kind of. I mean, the ethics of that are funny because there does seem to be. It depends on your starting point. If you're soliciting donations and you already are living in a fairly modest or just kind of an ordinary circumstance, not a 36-acre ranch or whatever, and then, then I guess it would equally feel as though it would be unfair to expect you to kind of downgrade or downsize. And we sort of apply that same logic to the Van Der Beeks, even though, there's so much more room for them to move in terms of, I assume, in terms of, realizing their massive collection of assets and also just sort of getting help from their community before they sort of solicit assistance from the general public. And it seems like people don't, they don't really want to engage with that because obviously it's kind of seen as insensitive, but also because they maybe are just donating, as a sort of slightly parasocial gesture of their love of James Van Der Beek. Maybe they kind of get a weird sense of being associated with celebrity world because they're like helping to prop up these people's lifestyle. I don't know. And it kind of makes them feel as though, in some sense, I'm getting a nod from the Van Der Beeks. I'm helping them. So I'm kind of in their world. It's very strange.
It would certainly you'd feel more connected to James Van Der Beek than you would like a World Vision, a child in Africa who you've never, World Vision just sends you a
whose
photo.
IMDb page is absolute rubbish.
Not a single, they don't even have the SAG card. They haven't even got their Screen Actors Guild membership yet. I should also point out, so I mentioned McSteamy. So 8 days after Van Der Beek died, Eric Dane, who played, I just put McSteamy on Grey's Anatomy, had been living with ALS. He passes away at 53. A GoFundMe was set up for his widow, although it's not, I don't think it's known if she set it up. And that has already collected close to its $500,000 goal. So that's kind of why the journalists started saying, hey, are we going to just be seeing more and more of this? Because it works. This is the other thing. Is like, I mean, look, to be honest, if you are in a position, like let's say the McSteamy family have a ton of assets.
Yeah.
Well, do you really want to have to dip into them to pull $500K out? Or if you just set up a GoFundMe page, because you are in the unique position that your loved one was a celebrity who people have a parasocial relationship with. Wouldn't you just do, like, it's going to take you literally 10 minutes to set up a GoFundMe page and then put it on social media and say,
just
hey,
check in a week later, scrape the money out and dangada dangada, you're done.
Dangada, you're done. And I guess the other thing that just makes this whole thing a little bit uncomfortable for plebs is it's like if a person who, you know, maybe I'll just give you a sort of slightly more extreme example as a bit of a thought experiment. If you had somebody who was a huge community organizer and perhaps had made a huge difference in people's lives, but it was just a dude who wasn't on social media and wasn't on TV.
Yeah.
He dies, and you like again, let's just say he's contributed a lot. Maybe he helped impoverished kids or at-risk youth, and some of them went on to be doctors, and some of them went on to themselves be community leaders. And this guy just added a lot to society and was extremely selfless.
Yeah.
But he's just got no chance of, you know, when he dies or when he is in need of medical care because he's not a celebrity. He just doesn't have access at all to the kind of storytelling or the kind of reach that celebrities do. And then, you know, further from this, furthermore, you know, is that really James Van Der Beek or McSteamy's concern? Look, they just are in a position where they are celebrities. Should they go, hey, look, I shouldn't do this because it's a kind of like a bit shit that I have a huge following and you don't?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's a good question because it doesn't really solve the problem for them not to take advantage of that, I guess. It's like, you know, I mean, they might say, well, it's a bit unfair that I get to live on a 36-acre property in Austin while someone else is homeless. And sure, it is.
Yeah,
but,
that's true. Yeah.
You know, but not living in a house doesn't really help. That doesn't necessarily solve that problem. But it's true. I mean, there are people who are, you know, using Venmo, who are using GoFundMe, who are just, you know, someone living in Queens who needs a tumor removed or something. Yeah. And they might just out of sheer luck get a few $100 or something, but they're probably not going to rake in $500,000 unless they get some sort of celebrity sharing their story on their Instagram page or something. Well, and so it's kind of this thing where, and you know, in a way, one of the things that makes me have mixed feelings about this is I do like the idea that at some level, the internet could be a kind of community that allows for this kind of, you know, redistribution of wealth in those circumstances. So somebody says, "Hey, everyone, you know, I'm impoverished and I'm unwell. Can you help me out?" And people for whom it's really no big deal to, you know, donate, just kind of share that, and they wouldn't otherwise be aware that that person exists. And so it's kind of this nice community exercise or this creation of community that doesn't exist in the real world. But yeah, I mean, it's problematic in that it's being used by the very wealthy in the same way that it is problematic that it might be being used by someone who, you know, is asking for money and you're kind of not sure whether they actually really need it. And, you know, they're just kind of relying on a sort of description of themselves that they're giving to you and basically imploring you to appealing to your kind of sense of middle-class guilt or whatever that you should chip in because you've got it better than they do or something. And it's a little bit complex. But, I don't know. I mean, I think part of the issue surely is there has to be an upper limit on the donations that they can seek, but also an upper limit on, you know, if somebody's net worth is, I mean, where do we draw the line? If it's 5 million, are we still going to chip in? Or if it's 50 million, are we still going to chip in? Like
that's the question, isn't it? Is I think net worth would be what you would want to have a sense of, but of course people could game that as well. This is the other thing as well is people's finances are always so shrouded in mystery.
100%.
Generally speaking, people with a lot of money often don't want you to know that.
Yeah. And one of the things that makes this so fun to talk about and explore is the strange cultural norms around money and this kind of sense that we carry that it's sort of unseemly to ask direct questions about how much money somebody has and, you know, how much they're making and all those kinds of things. People say, well, it's really none of your business, just kind of reflexively. But of course it is their one's business if they're asking for donations. And one of the weird things, one of the weird effects maybe of that cultural norm or set of norms is that people would go on GoFundMe because in some way it's more comfortable to ask strangers to help you than to ask people that you actually know to, go to your mate's house and say, can you give me $1,000 for my operation?
Yeah, totally.
Which is a strange thing. Like why wouldn't you, go to Beverly Hills and rattle the cup if you were James Van Der Beek?
Yeah. Yeah. And how, I'm just thinking now as well, how are we going to feel when all the Van Der Beek kids are photographed with Bugattis next week?
That's a very good question. Yeah. I want to see them, getting college degrees and devoting their lives to helping others. I don't want to see them being Jaden Smiths.
Have you personally given to many causes online? Is there anything one off the top of the head from me, which is funny because I wouldn't say I regret it, but I did afterwards. Years later, I did think, man, that was a lot of money to give to that cause, and that was during the Australian bushfires of 2020. There were a lot of appeals because there were firefighters out there battling to save large parts of the country and risking their lives, and the CFS was having to do a lot of work, and so there was a lot of pushes out there to get donations to the CFS, the Country Fire Service in Australia, to help them out and to help them support the fight against the fires. And I was in Germany, and this is pre-COVID, mind you. So this is actually, it's funny thinking back on how crazy 2020 was for Australians, because it started with the bushfires and then very quickly went into COVID. But the bushfires really consumed the public consciousness, and it was a huge international story for a few days at the start of 2020. And I was on social media. I was watching all the news reports. I felt quite distant from home, but I felt like this is something. These are my people. These are my koalas. These are my kangaroos. I've seen lots of sad photos of charred wildlife, charred marsupials, and I was like, "Oh, this is fucked. I've got to do something."
Koalas running around on fire.
Yeah,
disturbing footage.
And I was like, fuck, how much I'll pay anything to stop this, please. God, I can't sleep. And there were, and I'm not going to say how much I gave because, but it was a lot for me at the time. And it was because I felt this emotional connection. And, and then I wondered afterwards, I was like, I don't really understand the financial structure of the CFS. I don't really know how much money they already had. Like, how much government money are they getting? It's the same kind of, it's funny. It's reminding me also of when Wikipedia asks for money, and you'll always get these people going, actually, they do fine. And you maybe don't. I know that it's a product that you use a lot and you think it's, it's this impartial thing that's really important. But have you, so CFS is what I was, the Australian Bushfire Relief Funds are what I gave a donation.
Country Fire Service, isn't it, I think? And then there's the Country Fire Authority or Association, I can't remember. But that's an interesting example because, and I've been in the same situation where, for example, it's the kind of, in Australia, definitely, it's a sort of reduces to a question about the kind of social contract and what you see as the responsibility of government as opposed to private philanthropy. And in America, that line is drawn in a very different place to what it is in Australia. Australia doesn't have quite the same philanthropic culture, but it does have a much more of a kind of social democracy kind of setting where, those organizations you can expect will be supported through your tax dollars. And if they want more money, then arguably that's a conversation they should be having with the relevant government minister rather than asking you to not only give them, because this is the thing, it's like in Australia, something like the Country Fire Service is not optional extra. It's really essential. And I mean, it's, I don't want to get into the weeds on that issue, but it always amazes me that it's kind of so dependent on volunteers, which is just seems crazy. But it's also like, I mean, if I feel a bit the same when, say, you go down the street and it might be the army are soliciting donations for veterans or the police force or something, and you think, but you're like a publicly funded body. Like, isn't this money that you should be getting given to you that's adequate to your needs just every year? Like, why are you relying on the sort of, contingencies of how much passers-by are willing to put into your cup? That seems odd.
Yeah.
Like, like you're busking or something. And I mean, but I am pretty, that said, I'm pretty susceptible to just drop
to schmaltz.
To schmaltz, yeah, exactly. If I've had a couple of wines and I get on the internet, I'll just wake up with an empty bank account.
Instagram and a couple of whiskeys for John on a late night. Just
totally.
Doom scrolling and clicking through GoFundMe and Venmo links.
Yeah, I mean, I gave a big donation last year to MSF, but I also gave sort of.
Wait, what's that?
Oh, sorry, Medicines Sans
Frontières. Oh, yeah, sure. Okay.
And I give a regular donation to a charity, but I'm not trying to toot my own horn. But that's kind of a.
And why do you like? What made you do the MFS one, and what makes you do the other one?
So the other one, shout out to your friend and mine, Will McCaskill.
Yes,
effective altruism guru.
Man, if there's one person that we could get on this podcast potentially who could really boost the numbers, is your mate Will McCaskill, who you went to university with.
I need to twist his arm. Yeah, Will and I had studied philosophy together. He went on to become this significant figure in the effective altruism movement.
Yeah.
And one of the things that he has been instrumental in setting up is a charity, in itself a charity, but a charity that basically operates to assess the efficacy of other charitable groups and does a kind of very comprehensive audit of, what they do, how effective your donation will be in terms of how much of it gets kind of caught up in administrative costs and marketing as opposed to actually giving money to people in need and so on. And a consistently very highly rated charity was one that deals with basically just makes and distributes mosquito nets in places where malaria is an issue. So I give a regular donation to them because I thought, well, that's a effective use of my money. I give a regular donation to Fred Hollows, which is a kind of deals with restoring sight to people.
Yeah.
Basically because of guilt, they keep calling me and I can't get out of it.
You?
Yeah, they called me recently and I upped my donation by $5 a month because I just felt awkward, which is how that works, and that's fine. It worked
when they call
me.
you, I'm imagining they call you and you go, hello, and they go, yeah, John, it's the Fred Hollows Foundation, and you go, oh yeah, how can I help you? And they go, I can't see, mate. Talking to you right now, I'm really struggling to see. You go,
can you help us out? But then I'll give to like random things. Like there was an art space in Brunswick a few streets away from me that was kind of needed some upgrades. Otherwise they were going to get evicted. And so there was a bit of a community run thing to contribute to that. So that's fine. But yeah, then there are these kind of very local sort of Venmo-esque things on those Brunswick community groups, which you alluded to earlier.
Yeah.
And some of them are like, you're not sure whether you're dealing with a kind of good faith request or a grifter. Somebody says, I'd really love to go to this show, or I'd really love a ticket to this, or I'd really love a lift to that. And you kind of go like, okay, well, I would love that too. I'd love to put a second story on my house. Like what, it's not really my problem. I don't know. I don't even know you. How dare you ask me that?
Does anyone have an old iPhone from 2024 that I can have in a drawer?
Yeah, sometimes people do. They kind of go, does anyone have an old phone that they don't need? And to some extent, you sort of think, well, good on you for having a crack. Somebody might, I don't know. But like, I wouldn't want to be, I wouldn't want a public record of me doing that online myself. I think it's kind of slightly shameless. Yeah. But as well as that, there are people giving away things that I wouldn't necessarily want to give away, like, which I love on those groups. Someone will say, I ordered too many Hokkien noodles from my Chinese restaurant. Does anyone want them? And I'd say, just put them in the bin, you idiot.
I've ordered too many Hokkien noodles. I've dumped it in a plastic bucket and put it out the back of my out the back of my house if you want to come and eat it.
One
bucket included.
One scoop per person, please.
I guess with like Van Der Beek, I would feel somewhat compelled if I felt that the situation was quite desperate, like. But then again, I'm still conflicted because I'm like, well, why am I giving a James Van Der Beek and not somebody else? Like he was in Dawson's Creek. I'd be like, I don't even really watch Dawson's Creek. What am I even doing?
Exactly.
I don't even do it. It's kind of funny that I would base who I would give my donation to. I'd be like, I'd definitely give to the cast of 6 Feet Under. Yeah. But I'm not going to give to like crappy show. I'm not going to. Nobody from fucking Scrubs is getting my money.
Exactly.
It's going to only come from HBO shows if you're in trouble because I'm a ponce.
If you were in Big Bang Theory, then just better pray you don't get a health issue because I'm not giving you a thing.
My God, and this is the thing, like if Jim Parsons, because the Big Bang Theory is like the biggest TV show ever, if Jim Parsons is like, oh yeah, I need like a couple of bucks and everybody who loves Big Bang Theory gave $1, he would just be like a trillionaire.
Totally. Yeah. If he said, my character development requires me to have a Hadron Collider in my backyard. Can you chip in?
Yeah. Okay. So you.
So I give kind of in a structured way, which is the best thing to do because it's not tied to kind of
in a tax advantaged way.
Exactly, in a tax deductible way. Because I ain't giving my money to Uncle Sam, or as we call him here, Uncle Bruce. But I also give willy-nilly depending on how drunk and sentimental I am.
what music the person has used on the reel.
Exactly.
They put a little bit of Otis Redding on. You are gone.
That's right. I'm like, oh,
Bob
shit.
Dylan.
There goes my credit card.
Hey, Mr. Tambourine Man.
Exactly.
I have here some of the GoFundMe. I didn't realize this. This is kind of sad. Apparently, the GoFundMe categories, it's most commonly used for medical expenses, which shocked me, but that does speak to America's healthcare system and how in dire straits they are. Surgeries, cancer treatments, mental health care. See, let's not get into this because there's not enough time left in the episode. But but if you are on GoFundMe and you just say mental health care, I would want more information for sure. I'm not
feeling a bit down. I want to go to Luna Park for the day.
Or I need like thousands of dollars just to like talk about myself to somebody else and have them tell me that I'm a great person despite how I've behaved. Then number 2, emergency and crises, house fires, natural disasters. So again, this is kind of the Australian bushfires thing.
Yeah.
Funeral expenses, unexpected family tragedies. Then 3rd is education.
Yeah, right.
Tuition fees, study abroad. Again, study abroad would be one.
Yeah, I mean, come on. I mean, it is an injustice that some people can study abroad because of their family money and others can't. So
yeah.
That's why scholarships exist. And I guess it's fine to say, well, Venmo is my scholarship fund. There's no reason you can't do that.
And I guess also study abroad, if it was somebody in sub-Saharan Africa that needed to get to the States, then the other way around. I guess I was thinking more like, if someone from Boston who wants to go to Barcelona for a summer. That's right.
Yeah.
And number 4, then we've got like the creative project. So this is a bit more when people offer value. So we've been talking more about like, hey, I just need this and I don't have anything to give you back. But creative projects, musical albums, indie films, books. Probably with some of these, I guess at the end of this, you feel like, oh yeah, the person made the album that I can get, or made the book.
And obviously there's sometimes, not really on GoFundMe, I guess, but on other, there'll be other settings where people will say, look, I'll give you an advance copy of the book. I'll give you a signed copy.
Yeah.
I'll acknowledge you in the acknowledgements, some sort of reciprocal offer. Whereas I think a lot of these are kind of just, I'm doing this. Can you help us out? You're not going to get anything specific out of it.
Community causes, number 5, helping a local business, supporting a neighbor in need, funding community initiatives, activism, or awareness campaigns. Yeah, so I guess that's kind of the difference between
awareness campaigns. Don't know about that. That's a little fuzzy.
Apparently, also just had some other examples here. There was an American's Next Top Model. Miss J had a stroke that left him unable to walk. Fans started a campaign for medical expenses. Apparently, fans of Star Trek, who are obviously, have the strongest parasocial relationship that you can possibly imagine with the stars of the show. Apparently, there was an actor, Aaron Eisenberg. He prepared for a second kidney transplant. The kidney received was donated by one of the Star Trek fans. A Trekkie donated the kidney. And so again, this is like the power of the parasocial.
Yeah.
I'm definitely what do you reckon the chances are of a Don't Praiser going definitely going to give Alex, who does that little show once a week, a kidney?
Yeah. It have to be one of the tier 1 subscribers.
Yeah.
Saying, okay, I got my DPTM shirt, so fair enough. I'll give you one of my kidneys. I mean, there's got to be a complex thought process if you're in that position. Some fan says, "I'm going to give you my kidney." I mean, fucking hell. I guess you're like, well, I need a kidney. It's not much. There's not the alternative is pretty bad, but I would feel pretty conflicted. And I would also feel like, is that person going to show up on my doorstep every Christmas from now on?
And they would have the right to.
It's me. I gave you my kidney. Do you want to hang out? And you go, fuck, all right, fine.
I did. I held up my end of live long and prosper. Now you got to let me in. Now you got to let me into Christmas. I want to sleep next to you every night.
I want to just, bunk down, put on the projector and watch episodes of Voyager with you. And you'd say, fine, I guess you did help me live. But, one of the things that I often think about is philanthropic culture in America and how it's a kind of double-edged sword. And this is part of that, I guess, because, on one level, it's like a failure of the social safety net that makes this necessary. On the other hand, as I said, Australians don't really have that culture. And a recent example that comes to mind is there was a magazine which had been running for decades, and many famous Australian writers, poets, and others had been published in this magazine called Meanjin, and it was published by the University of Melbourne. And it had never really turned a profit, I don't think. That wasn't really, it was not that sort of endeavor. It was a pretty specialized sort of artsy publication, but it was seen as a bit of a cultural tentpole by some. And then the university decided we can't afford it. I think paying my lecturer salary was the last straw, and they said it's going to close down after all these years. And there are all these people sort of beating their chests and wringing their hands in the press, saying this is a disgrace, and the University of Melbourne should keep funding it. And some of them pointed out, it only costs about $100,000 a year to keep this thing running, so surely they could afford it. But then you think, well, can't someone else just step in? Like, why are you people just, wiping away tears about this thing disappearing? And it doesn't occur to any of you to just, chip in, get 100 of your friends to chip in $1,000 each, and then it keeps running for another year. And these are kind of Chardonnay socialists who can definitely afford that, and they'll get to read, I don't know, Clive James, or he's no longer with us, but those kind of people for another year. But it's that kind of mentality of when when it occurs to us to actually just stump up and contribute, and when it doesn't. Like the same people who are contributing to James Van Der Beek, surely many of them wouldn't really contribute to much else, or wouldn't particularly be troubled by the fact that, you know, every day of their lives up until that point, they could have opened up GoFundMe and contributed to someone in an equally dire situation.
This is why we need effective altruism, John. This absolutely dovetails perfectly to our forthcoming Will McCaskill interview on the show. And this is absolutely the vibe of the type of shows that he goes on as well. Are these lighthearted cultural comedy podcasts. Yeah. Once we get Will, then we get Sam Harris, who's just going to be, we can get the guru on himself. Because you're 1 degree of separation from Sam Harris because of Will McCaskill.
Point, actually. I've hung out with someone who's hung out with Sam Harris, which means I'm only a couple of degrees of separation from the Golden Girls, which is very exciting.
From B. Arthur. We just could get Sam on and just say, look, we're giving you the heads up. The whole episode is about the Golden Girls.
There's going to be nothing culture war about this. It's going to be just
it's going to be
deep
fun.
Dive into the Golden Girls lore.
Tell us some of your memories of being on the set with Susan, your mum, Susan Harris, and how you just loved the show so much. How you would take beta tapes of it on your pilgrimages to India and Tibet.
Yeah, that's right.
We just pop it on for the various gurus that he would be sitting with. They'd meditate for a week and then just watch Golden Girls tapes. My mom wrote this, you know. My mom created this. My mom is Susan Harris.
Okay.
Bit of housekeeping. Beautiful. Well, that was a great episode, John. Thank you so much for helping me understand the wild world of celebrities asking for donations on GoFundMe. John Maloney, I've been enjoying reading the very, very special and exclusive Don't Praise the Machine newsletter every week. How can listeners access such a newsletter? And what is it?
Oh, great question. It's a weekly newsletter that allows me to deep dive into some of the things that we've talked about on the show, some of the things that we haven't got a chance to talk about that I've been fascinated by, that are living rent-free in my head. And you can access it by going to dptm.org.
Correct.
Entering your email address, clicking on the button that says something like subscribe, and then you'll get it in your hot little hands every single week. And Beautiful. It's a great way to be part of the DPTM community.
Awesome. Thank you so much, John. And we can't wait to see you next week.
The podcast.